The restaurant, very great.
I'm Rosie Somerville and I volunteer with Viewfield Garden Collective. Viewfield Garden Collective exists to support vulnerable adults, either that are suffering from exclusion, recovering from mental illness, who are disadvantaged in some way. It could be through unemployment, a wide variety of reasons. And what we try to do is provide a safe working environment where people can learn about horticulture, grow plants, and as our leaflet says, we grow plants and we grow people. We have been here since about 2006 and we are now quite firmly established in the community. But the garden itself is open to the public. The project, the collective, use it on a Wednesday and a Thursday at the moment. And the public can come along on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but people can come here at any time and walk through the garden. There's a network of paths that the project has put in place that actually also help people get off the road. So joggers, for example, and cyclists use the network, and dog walkers. And that's an example of the kind of thing we have done for the wider community as well. Well, I was originally involved with two other women who set the project up. I used to work for NHS Scotland, a project called TAG, Training and Guidance. And TAG was a training project that itself supported people recovering from mental health problems. And myself and the project coordinator came to realise that there wasn't really anything for people to do out in the open. And we thought, we should be trying to open a garden. And between us, we approached the landlord of Viewfield House and eventually negotiated a lease and started to put in the infrastructure for the project. As I say, that was in 2006. And in recent years, I have become the chair and I'm a trustee of the project. So I volunteer in that I do the fundraising and the sort of administrative work in the background. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for volunteers. Having said that, we've now reached a stage where we're really operating at full capacity, and we have just advertised this week for 2 posts to take the project forward. I've always felt quite passionate about the difficulties that disadvantaged people have in terms of filling their lives with meaningful, positive experiences. In a rural community like this, it's not very easy for folk to find work, for the most able of us to find work. Someone, for example, with severe sleeping problems can't guarantee that they can get up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning to drive for an hour to get to a job, which would more likely than not be in Portree. And I feel that if I can make a contribution to supporting and helping people with these difficulties in their lives, then it's a good thing to be doing with any spare time that I have got. If I was giving advice to a volunteer or someone wanting to volunteer, I would suggest that they get to know the organisation or the project that they're interested in. A good way to do that is to go to your local CVO office and talk to them about what's going on in the community, where there's gaps in support. Be very clear about what it is you can do and avoid being talked into doing things that are going to be too onerous for you or actually too difficult for you, and you find yourself saying yes and trying to do it, and then you feel as if you're going to let people down. You don't want to get into that sort of cycle. It needs to be fun. It needs to be a joy.
My name is Malcolm Docherty, and I occasionally volunteer with the Viewfield Garden Collective here in Portree. Well, the aims of the Portree Garden Collective are to provide a place where people can come and meet, especially those maybe who are socially disadvantaged, or people maybe who have maybe specific needs or conditions, where they can come to this sort of welcoming atmosphere where they can contribute by even just by coming along and enjoying the social aspects of the place. And also we've got super opportunities for work and for involvement throughout the year. Well, my pattern is that I work with a young man who has communication challenges, and I bring him along here. I come along with him. He's perfectly able to come along himself, but I come along, see what he's doing, and that's what has probably got me involved in volunteering anyway. So I come along with him, and it's a super place to come along to, and it's good. Well, I have been volunteering, broadly across my life, not just here at the Garden Collective, but I have always liked to volunteer over my life, especially with people with mental health challenges. I've always liked and supported people, and also older people. I visit older people. I think it's important that everyone should, even a small part of their life, a small part of their week, should do an element of volunteering, because the sum of the parts is greater than the whole.
And what do you get out of it? What do you enjoy about it most?
This sounds quite big. You feel as if you're sort of contributing to something. You're sort of adding a little bit of yourself, and I think that's important. Just a little bit of your own time, and it isn't a lot. It's not asking a lot. Maybe a weekend, maybe a Saturday afternoon, and you feel as if you're giving something, and you receive as well when you give. Yeah, it's valuable.
If you were to give some advice to a friend or something, or a colleague you thought who was thinking about doing some volunteering but hadn't done any before, what advice would you give them?
I would say, you should consider volunteering. You should maybe find out the type of thing that suits yourself. Dip the toe in the water, see that suits you. I don't think people would be offended if you didn't particularly like it. It wasn't for you, but I think there is something for everyone, whether it is going to be like the Portree Garden Collective or any other institution or a group that needs volunteering. I would certainly recommend it. I would say, I think every community is different. Every community has got its complexion. I mean, there are quite a large number of people who are retired. For myself, I'm not retired, but there are people who are unselfishly giving up their time in different projects throughout Portree and the island. So I think that does augment what's going on, but it doesn't mean in other areas where there are a different mix of people that's still possible.
And can you see yourself continuing volunteering into the future?
Yes, I could. Yes, I could see as things go between work and employment, getting a balance with things, yes, I would like to continue, yes.